Hello everybody, today is 12th of January. My name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. Friends, 12th January happens to be the birth anniversary of the great Indian thinker as well as the spiritualist Swami Vivekananda. Guys, Swami Vivekananda stood for the integration of the spiritualism with the science, integration of the Hinduism with the different faiths, and was one person who evoked the Indian nationalism into the early days. Now, guys, in today's GS folder, we will be taking a quote from Swami Vivekananda. He says that man has reached immortality who is disturbed by nothing material. Now, guys, this particular quote is very much similar to the ideology given by the Stoic thinkers who also said that a person needs to find the utility into the calm state of mind. They talked about the serenities concept, which means that a person should be detached from the material world, from the material success, from the material gain. Into the same way, guys, the Swami Vivekananda has said that the condition to reach a kind of a higher state of mind is to get yourself detached with the material. You should not be moved by some petty success, neither you should be demotivated if a petty setback into your material life had happened. Swami Vivekananda is basically advocating a higher level of a spirituality that is to be gained. And guys, such higher level of spirituality also needs to be one of the foundational values of the civil servants. Now, today we see the notions of corruption, favoritism, nepotism. Why these kind of things are still prevailing? It is prevailing because the people are still attached to the material success. They are deriving their success from the material world, and this particular thing has to be abandoned. So therefore, the Swami Vivekananda's quote becomes very much relevant into the present times. So guys, that's it, and now let's start with the newspaper analysis. Now, guys, taking up the first article. So, this article has been taken from the Business Standard newspaper, and it is basically talking about the brief highlight with respect to the health of the Indian financial system. So, guys, recently the financial stability report has been released by the Reserve Bank of India, where it had taken up a kind of a supervision over the asset quality of the different NBFCs as well as banks, and it had found that the asset quality is going down. Now, guys, into the NBFC, if we see, then it has been said that into the high risk scenario, the non performing assets or the GNPAs can increase to 8.4%. However, into the moderate or the medium term scenario, it could be 6.9%, which is very much alarming. And moreover, it has been said that as the NBFCs have taken large money from the banks, ultimately, if this NPA will be increasing, the impact will be coming onto the bank's health. Moreover, guys, if we see the people who had borrowed the money from the NBFC, they are majorly the industries. And industry right now is not in a good shape because of the economic contraction. And there could be a possibility that if economic revival did not came soon, then the problems can turn even more worse. Moreover, guys, a specific stress test was also conducted for the general banks, and it was found that into the banks, the gross national performing assets size will be increasing to 13.5%, which is a matter of worry. Now, a special responsibility comes on to the government, as A, government is one who has the primary responsibility of steering the economy, and B, the government is a controller of majority of the banking sector, as under the public sector banks the majority of shareholding is of the government. So guys, it has been said that the early efforts are needed to be made so that the health of the banking sector can be preserved. So guys, that's all about this particular article, a very brief update, and now we will be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it is talking about the recent currency reforms that has taken place into the Cuba. Now, guys, let's understand first of all into the most basic terms that what reforms had happened, what was the issue. Now here we can see that the Cuba, it is a country into the Caribbean, and in terms of the geographical location, we can see onto the south there is the Caribbean Sea, then there is Gulf of Mexico, and here you can see the Atlantic Ocean. Now when we talk about the present day Cuba, so it is a socialistic country which is driven by the ideology of Lenin Marxist, and this particular state came into existence in 1959 after the Cuban Revolution happened, and it eliminated the earlier regime. Now, guys, as present Cuba, it is run by the socialistic ideology. It transformed their entire politics, economy, their international relations onto the socialistic line. Now, guys, specifically today, as we are talking about the currency reforms, we will be going more into the reforms with respect to the economy. So, it was believed majorly by the Che Guevara, who held a control onto the central bank of the Cuba after the 1959. And among the many decisions he took, one of the decisions taken by the Che Guevara was to replace the existing Cuban currency, and a new Cuban currency was announced, that is the CUP or the Cuban peso. Now, this Cuban peso, it was the national currency to be used into the entire country. However, guys, it was not weighted to the international currencies such as the dollars, pounds, etc. And as it was not weighted onto the international term, the acceptance of the Cuban peso was not there into the world countries, and therefore they were completely cut from the entire countries. But for that particular time, it was not a very big problem for the Cuba, because Cuba was an ally of the USSR, and majority of the things that they need to import, they were doing it from the USSR, and USSR was also completely supporting it. However, this particular problem came after 1991, that once the USSR has been collapsed, and now as the trade and all such kind of things have to be made with the outside country, what was decided? It was decided that we will be keeping this Cuban peso, and along with it we will bring one more currency, that is the CUC, that is the Cuban convertible peso. Both of them, guys, are also called as by the one name peso also. So what this CUC was, guys, this CUC will be a currency which will be used for the international payments and will be fixated onto the terms of the dollars also. It was said that one CUC is equal to $1. And guys, if anybody wants to equate the CUC with their domestic currency, that is the CUP, then it was said that 24 CUP will be equal to the 1 CUC. And it was said that if any international tourist is coming into the country, they cannot use the dollar, rather they need to pay into the terms of the CUC. Moreover, guys, as the Cuba is highly dependent onto the imported goods, so whatever imported goods are coming into the country, they are traded onto the international prices, and for those imported goods, the money which is be accepted, that will be the CUC. So what happens, a general Cuban, if we take his example, suppose Mr. A, he is a Cuban citizen, and so he needs to keep two type of currencies. One is the CUP and other is the CUC. So by CUP he can buy the domestically produced goods. For example, the sugar basically is grown into the Cuba, so the sugar he can buy by CUP. However, if he wants to buy the Red Bull, and if this Red Bull is imported from the America, then for that he needs to pay the CUC. Now, see, first of all, this entire system is making the transactions very much messier, very much complicated. This is a problem. Secondly, guys, the problem comes here is this, that into the Cuba, as I told you, that they are driven by the socialist ideology, so they have a very big state owned center. Clear? So, guys, the state is giving the employment to large number of people, and as the state is employing them, state is also giving them the salary. The state gives them salary into the form of the CUP. Now, if they want to buy anything into the domestic commodity, then it is fine, they can pay. But if they want to buy any imported commodity, they need to convert the CUP into the CUC, and we can see the exchange rate of CUP versus CUC is very high. That is the 24 CUP for 1 CUC. So basically, large number of people, they are living on to the sustenance, and they don't have the capacity to buy the good quality imported goods. Now, guys, what has happened? You just be knowing that the always the goal of the socialism is to create a kind of a egalitarian equal society, but high inequality has been created into the Cuba just because of these two currencies. See what is happening today. The doctors who are employed by the state, they are earning the CUP. However, at the same time, the person who is unskilled and he is just working as a tourist guide, he is showing the different destinations to the tourist, and those tourists are paying this guide into the terms of the CUC. And today their guides, these people working into the informal sector, they are much richer than the doctors, skilled professionals, engineers, etc., who are working for the state. And therefore nobody there wants to work for the state, but guys, at the same time, the GDP is highly dominated by the state enterprises. Approximately 78% GDP is coming via the state enterprise. So guys, today if anybody wants to live a good quality life into the Cuba, either they need to work into such kind of sectors where they are interacting with the tourists who are coming there and spending the money into the CUC, or they need to have any person living abroad who can send them the money which can be converted into the CUC. So the entire messy structure has been created. So now what the Cuba has done, the Cuba, they had brought a kind of a currency reform, and had they said that today we are going to remove the CUC, and the CUP will be the only one currency, and this CUP will be weighted in front of a dollar, and 24 CUP will be equal to $1. Now what is the implication? There are the two implications. A, they have discontinued the dual currency regime, and there will be now the only one currency. And B, they had also devalued their currency. We were knowing earlier that the one CUC was equal to the $1, and basically this value is not reflective, because we can see the status of the Cuba versus the status of the USA. Moreover, guys, always there is a problem that if a currency will be overvalued, as the Cubans have done, then their exports will be very much expensive, and they cannot have any economic gain by the exports. So guys, now they have finally taken up the decision, and they have changed their dual currency to a single currency, and into the times to come, serious other economic reforms are have also been decided to be taken into the Cuba. So guys, that is all about this particular article. I hope that you have understood it, and now we will be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and here we can see that an example has been given from the Rajasthan, that how Rajasthan is involving with the active deliberations with the citizens, and how it is making the democracy more meaningful. Now, guys, this particular article can be used as a case study in our GS paper number 2 with respect to the governance reforms and the need of deliberative democracy. Now, first of all, guys, it has been provided here that now we see that the protest on by the farmers is going on. Now what is the principal reason why this particular protest? A, that they consider the law to be unjust, and B, the problem is also partly because of the factor that when the farm laws were implemented, there were not enough of the consultation with the farmers group, civil societies, NGOs into this particular direction, and now the problem is coming. However, guys, the Rajasthan has always been good in terms of the consultation, and this particular thing we can see by the help of a example into the MG Narega. Now, guys, what government is doing? Government is regularly holding the MG Narega Samvad with the different stakeholders, and from time to time they streamline the actions, the problems which is coming into this particular direction. See, first of all, guys, when we talk about MG Narega, there is a classic problem that has happened, that is with respect to the payment issues. Timely payment have not been made, and guys, from pillar to post, a person who had worked, he had to run. Now, as we talking about the MG Narega payments, they are to be credited into the bank account, but there are many a times the error which occur. Why? A, many a times when the entry with respect to the payments that have accrued to a person, when such entry is being made by the block level entry operator, they make an error. After that, guys, many a times their account turned dormant, and then the payment cannot be processed. After that, guys, even the National Payment Corporation of India, which is maintaining the software onto which this payment is to be made, then there are some internal technical errors onto this particular software also. For example, the basically the module or the node where the beneficiary's Aadhaar as well as his bank details are to be connected, it is broken, and sometimes the payment doesn't passes through. Now, earlier these examples, the dormant account, block level entry operator mistake, these are manual problems, and they can be rectified, but such kind of problem cannot be easily rectified. So guys, what Rajasthan government had said, their Department of Rural Development, they held the regular workshops with the civil societies, with the organizations or the NGOs who are associated with the MG Narega workers, aggrieved workers themselves. They were invited, and their problems were heard, and after that well defined targets were taken, the responsibilities were given to the designated officials, and and strict monitoring was to be followed, that whether these targets, responsibilities and accountability is being followed or not. And guys, it can be seen that in a very less amount of time substantial gain has been registered into the Rajasthan. So guys, here we can see that in approximately a time of 1 year, the Rajasthan government has cleared 380 crore worth of payments which was not given to the workers due to some earlier rejections which have come, and right now only 2.7% payments are pending from the state government. So this is basically a very positive development. Moreover, guys, here we can see that the Rajasthan government has also launched a very innovative platform also, that is the Jan Suchna portal. Now onto this Jan Suchna portal, a kind of a single platform has been provided to the public where the 60 departments and 104 schemes that are being run by them, all the information about it, the kind of complaints if they are having with respect to any particular issue, they could be tracked here. And by this particular thing, even the Rajasthan is making their democratic exercise more meaningful and accessible to the common people. Further, guys, a very good quote has also been given into this particular article given by the American civil rights activist Jess Jackson, who said that deliberation and debate is the way you stir the soul of democracy. Guys, it has been provided that the good governance, if actually it needs to deliver, it needs to be developed onto the constructive engagement between the people and officials. And by this particular thing, government can further evoke its legitimacy into the eyes of the citizens. So guys, that's all about this particular article, and now we'll move to the next article. Guys, this article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it talks about the India's foreign policies outlook into the coming times. So guys, this article can be utilized in GS paper number 2 under the topic of the India's foreign relations. Now, it has been said that the coming year 2021 will not be very different from the last 2020 year. There will be only new thing that will be coming. It is the change of the leadership into the USA. It was believed earlier that the China will be sidelined, but that thing is not going to happen. Rather, China is becoming more resurgent, and this thing we can see by the help of the recent example where the Europe is finalizing the European Union China comprehensive agreement onto the investment, and the China will be more betterly integrated into the Europe. So earlier it was said that the decoupling is happening, relocation is happening, all such kind of trends, at least for the Europe, are not going to be very much evident, and rather more integration with the China is going to happen. Moreover, when we see into the sphere of the China, guys, China is more economically stronger, as in 2020 it was only major country which had some positive growth, and in 2021 it is expected that the same pattern will be continuing. Moreover, in terms of military also, China is becoming more resurgent, and it has planned that the third aircraft carrier by the China will be launched into the 2021. It will be giving more capability into the oceanic realm also. Then when we talk about the Xi Jinping is further consolidating the power both within the party as well as into the China. Moreover, guys, Xi Jinping is coming more assertively, and we can see into the treatment that was given to the Hong Kong, Taiwan, as well as the events which had happened into the LAC in India. So it is clear that it was earlier believed that in 2021 a kind of a compact for the democracy will be released. It was said that further the democracies will be strengthened. So at least into the theory, nothing such kind of thing is happening. So we don't need to be over enthusiastic. Moreover, guys, right now if we see, there are other realms also where the power equation has changed, particularly into the West Asia. So guys, what has happened into the West Asia? Recently, the Abraham Accords were signed, and as part of the Abraham Accords, the normalization of the relations had happened between the Arab world, particularly between the countries of the UAE as well as into the Israel. Now, by the way, guys, if you don't know what these Abraham Accords were recent agreement that was brokered by the USA between the Israel and the UAE. Particularly, the Bahrain was also there. It was said that the Israel and UAE should take up the normalization of their diplomatic relation. So this thing has happened. Now, into all this particular thing, India stands to be a kind of an odd man and has not been given a considerable position. For example, let's take into the Sino-India relations, there is no positive outcome which is coming, and there is no even an expectation that with the China relations will be improved into the times to come. After that, guys, no significant role is being given to into the India into the West Asia. It has been seen that into the Abraham Accords, India was not given any particular viewpoint. Moreover, in terms of Afghanistan also, right now the peace process is going on where the Taliban and the Afghanistan are negotiating the peace negotiations. There USA is playing an active role, but India is not there. Then guys, it has been said that recently India escalated the Pakistan's attitude and branded the Pakistan as a terrorist nation. But this particular thing has worked in favor of Pakistan only. What happened? Pakistan came more close to the China. And then with the Nepal also, we are not having the good relation. There was a Kalapani dispute after which the relations turned very bad. Though right now there is a little bit of normalization which is coming, but still the India's condition is not very much good. So guys, India is not the powerhouse of diplomacy right now. Now a question is being raised that why such a kind of thing has happened. So there are certain reasons in this direction. Number one, India's choice of friends. So India had become more and more aligned to the USA, and now guys, it is believed that the world is divided in two of the camps. On one hand there is US, and on another hand there is China. And now countries have to again pick up the sides, and now more and more countries are picking up the sides in favor of China, because it is very clear that into coming few years China will be surpassing the USA. So therefore they want to be into the Chinese camps, and as India is into the US's camps, the countries are not aligning with the India also. After that, there is the ideational failure. Ideational failure means a failure to stand by at your own ideas. Now guys, if we talk, India was the founding member of at least two organizations, that is the non-aligned movement as well as the SARC, and today India is absent from both these platforms. Then guys, even India is not integrated in with the other countries, because we can see that recently the regional comprehensive economic partnership, it was abandoned by the India. Then guys, even into the BIMSTEC, India is not very much active. So we can see that India is not giving the priority onto the international groupings, and is missing the case of coming near to the like-minded countries. We can even see that the Russia India China grouping is also not being actively taken by the India. Moreover, when we see the India's attitude with respect to the neighboring countries, India often lacks the sensitivity to deal with the neighbors such as the Bangladesh, Vietnam, Iran, and many a times, guys, when specifically Iran's case is concerned, we are coming to the US, and we know that the US and Iran's relations are not good. So Iran is seeing India into a skepticism, and all these things culminate that India loses a kind of a credibility into the region. So now what is to be done? We need to resurrect India's foreign policy again. We need to specify the basic ideas or the basic tenets into the Indian foreign policy, and India needs to stay firm to these basic principles and these basic tenets, and need to prove to the world that India is consistent with respect to their attitude, as well as India needs to present that it will be a firm and expected partner, and not be a kind of a haywire going country. So guys, that's all which is into this particular article. I hope you have understood. Now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and here, very briefly, we will be seeing the recent normalization of relations between the Saudi Arab and Qatar. Now, first of all, guys, let's focus onto this particular map, and let's see that who are participants here. So, guys, here there will be certain countries. There will be the Saudi Arabia, then there will be the Qatar, there will be the Bahrain, then there will be the Egypt, which we can see here, it is situated, and then there will be the Iran and Turkey. So we will be taking up the developments from 2017, where the Saudi Arabia alleged that the attitude of the Qatar particularly is not favorable to the regional security, as Qatar is moving very much close to two countries particular, Iran and secondly to the Turkey. And it was believed that the Turkey and Iran are both antithetical to the interest of the Saudi Arabia, and it was said that the three countries, the Saudi Arab, Bahrain and Egypt, they are curtailing their ties with the Qatar, and 13 demands were made onto the Qatar that you need to follow them if you want to further reintegrate it back again with the countries. And it was said that for the time being, Saudi Arab, Bahrain and Egypt will not be having the normal relations. Now, out of these 13 demands, the three main demands were this: that A, the Al Jazeera, which is a TV network funded by the Qatar, it needs to be suspended. Then there was also a demand that a Turkish military base that has been situated in the Qatar, it needs to be closed, and then the closeness from the Iran are needed to be reduced. So these were the three major demands out of the 13. Now what Qatar did? Qatar did not even budge to these demands and did not bothered looking into them, and it continued the same attitude which earlier it was having. The Al Jazeera is still live with the Turkey. Even more closeness has been integrated, and with the Iran also, the Qatar has went into more closeness. Now, guys, what had happened? Into the response, the Saudi Arabia suspended the airspace that was given to the Qatar, and in return, the Iran then come to the rescue to the Qatar and provided its own airspace to the Qatar, and even it proved to be beneficial to the Iran. How? Because for using the airspace of the Iran, Qatar started to pay money to the Iran, and we know that Iran's economy has been into the shambles because many of the sanctions have been imposed into the Iran. So basically, the ostracization of Qatar rather helped the Iran because they got the new money here. Now, this particular thing, when observed by the Saudi Arabia, they realized that a mistake has been made by ostracizing the Qatar, and now as a part of that particular thing, the Saudi Arabia is making a U-turn, and now again the diplomatic relations are being restored. Now, guys, it has been said that in return, the Qatar did not made any promise that even into the future the relations with the Turkey or the Iran will be curtailed. However, the Qatar has made an understanding that it will not be taking any action which will be undermining the regional security. Now, guys, if we analyze that what could be the reasons for this U-turn that has been made by Saudi Arabia, so there could be two particular reasons. Reason number A, that they did not wanted that any help should go to the Iran, and therefore now the Qatar is being rolled back so that they don't pay the money for using of the airspace, and so that the reliance again onto the Saudi Arabia can be made. Secondly, now as a new US administration is coming, the Joe Biden, the new president, he will be renegotiating the nuclear deal with the Iran. So the Arab nations, they want to keep a united front so that the severe sanctions can be imposed onto the Iran as a part of a new deal. So guys, this is all into this particular direction. I hope that you have understood it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and here we can see that into the USA, the impeachment article is being moved against the Trump onto the charge of incitement of insurrection. It has been said that Donald Trump deliberately provoked the violence as well as the attack onto the Capitol complex, and therefore this particular charge is being moved. Now, guys, that Donald Trump, if impeached, he will be the first president to be impeached twice. Moreover, guys, if the Trump is convicted into the Senate, it will also mean that the Trump will be ineligible to again contest the elections. However, right now it might possible that the impeachment could be raised, but basically passing it will be a kind of a very difficult task because in few days new president elect Joe Biden will be assuming the office, and before that particular thing, taking up this entire process will be a little bit difficult. However, guys, the introduction of impeachment is more of a symbolism that has been raised. So, guys, that's all about all the important articles into the today's newspaper. Guys, I hope that you have understood it. Thank you so much.